Let me see if I can see the link in YouTube real quick before I close out of YouTube on here. Should be feeding right into YouTube. Yup, there it is. Alright. I'm going to mute that so we're not hearing ourselves. Alright. And in case you need a link, I'll shoot it over on Facebook real quick. That way you can follow it on the stream. That way you can moderate while you're behind a screen. There we are.
Okay. I'll pretty much use that as...
We're live. Control V. I'll edit tags and stuff later.
Okay.
And, like I said, I'm going to put this on my Princess of Darkness page, and then we'll go from there. So, granted, technically we're live now, but, you know, right now this is just filler. And it'll take a little bit for people to feed into the room anyhow, so.
I got a few, technically I'm on my phone, quote-unquote, watching. It's usually easier than my computer, so okay. I'll be on that for a little while. And I'll use the link to do some tweeting to let everybody at least... That way, if anybody of my followers want to join in or hop in, they can do so.
Yep.
Do some promotion.
And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to get some more people drug in through Twitter myself. We're live with Sasha After Dark. Boom. Tweet. Alright, so that's that. Alright, let me sit down. Ugh. Oh, wow, I already got 3 people on here. That's kind of cool.
Woohoo!
Yay, hello people. It's probably you, me, and whoever else is on here.
Right.
So, anyways, if you guys aren't acquainted, I'm a proud part of the Transgender Visibility Podcaster Project. You can find us on Facebook. Trans Podcaster Visibility Initiative, to be technical. But anyways, we talk all things horror, sci-fi, and I give a little visibility to my community. With us today, we do have Christopher Lumser. He's with the Long Coat Mafia podcast. Christopher, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a fat, hairy bastard, pale, hairy bastard from West Virginia. Liked by many, hated by even more. I run the podcast known as Long Coat Mafia Podcast, and it's found on the longcoatmafia.podbean.com, also on iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and a few other places that you might find interesting. But for now, this is all about Sasha. This is her show. So for now, I bow to her.
And as always, I'm Sasha, the Princess of Darkness. This is normally what we would call a podcast of darkness, but tonight we're just calling it Sasha After Dark, because as you can see, I'm just lounging in whatever I feel like wearing. Not only that, to get views. Fuck it, I'm not going to lie. But anyways, we're just going to be chatting about all different kinds of topics, sci-fi, horror, comics, movies, video games, and anything you guys want to throw in, as long as you're not being an asshole, because I've got more than a few people who will throw the band hammer at you quick. So, don't even try. Ain't worth your time. Alright, so, one of the things I wanted to discuss with you, and I know it's probably on your mind, I don't know if you've touched on it in the Long Coat Mafia podcast, your thoughts on the cheetah casting.
I heard, too, I have to kind of deal with it. One was with, what's her name, who was in, the remake of Ghostbusters, what's her name? Crap. Oh, it's not crap, but, well, I thought, whoa.
Yeah, I just flipped the screen.
Had a little bit of fuzz there, just went, whoa.
Yeah, I flipped. That way it's showing, like, the real visibility, I think. Yeah, it says everything properly. It bugs me when the fallout shelter sign is not reading fallout shelter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now I got to move my posters. How lame is that? But anyways, no, like with the whole Cheetah casting, and I can't remember what's the chick's name. She was in that Bridesmaids movie, the new Ghostbusters movie. What the hell is her name? I can't think of it.
I'm looking it up on IMDb now.
We're bad geeks.
Ghost. I don't want no advert about. Oh, and they got rid of my search. I hate it when that does. Kristen Wiig, I think her name is.
There you go.
As soon as it came up during the search, I'm like, I don't know. Has she done anything beyond comedy before?
I don't think so, honestly. I mean, I don't know if she can do, like, if she's got the chops to do a physical kind of role that this might demand. I don't know. Secondly, and this is what I find funny, it's interesting that a movie called Black Panther would suddenly be making millions in the box office and doing well, and I think it's like one of the best movies thus far, you know, for not only 2018, but overall for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I may be wrong. But awful funny that DC's like, what kind of cat characters can we throw into a franchise? You get what I'm saying? I mean, how far off are we till we get, Thundercats, the live-action movie?
I've heard that they did that, but they shelved it.
What, Thundercats?
Yeah, they just shelved it. But the thing is, with Black Panther, I think what they did with that, not so much movie-wise, but with the character, was superb. Meaning that they introduced the character in Civil War, told no one about that character, gave the character no backstory. Then all of a sudden, we now have a backstory.
Yep.
In a way. Not so much a backstory. It's a backstory without being a backstory, but it's a continuation.
Right.
And that's what hit home with the fanboys. And I thought initially that them releasing it, I kind of understand why they released it in February, but I thought it was kind of, I wouldn't say cheap, but cheesy. Oh, release a movie about a black character in Black History Month. Wow, really? But it worked out. I'm like, okay, you proved me wrong. Shows you what I know. But it worked. It was obviously a great idea. There are times where I think something like that is a bad idea. I might have thought at one point Deadpool being released on Valentine's Day was a bad idea. Stupid move, but it worked out for them that point, and it worked out for Black Panther this time around. And February must be a good month for Marvel movies, I'll tell you that right now. What else can they do?
Exactly. But, I mean, right now, I mean, they have a couple, like, movies getting ready to come out here soon, too, like, that are Marvel dedicated. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Next month...
Infinity War.
Next month is Infinity War. Then you have Deadpool within 30 days. That's why they moved Infinity War back a week so it wouldn't interfere with Deadpool. Then later this year, I think you have Ant-Man 2. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what else. The only thing I see being lost in the shuffle right now is Han Solo, the Han Solo movie, because everybody, when you have something like Deadpool and Infinity Wars and a bunch of other films coming out roughly the same time, and you have Solo, it's not going to hit. Everybody's going to be totally geeked out by this time, because you have to figure by the end of March, as soon as the end of March hits, and April 1st hits, no joke, you have Ready Player One, which is going to be a total geek fest.
Right.
people are going to probably be seeing that movie more than once because they want to catch every single stinking Easter egg in that movie. And
don't forget Jurassic World 2.
Yeah, there's that as well. So Solo is probably, I'm not knocking Solo, but it's probably going to be lost in the shuffle. I'm going to agree with that theory.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, to me, it just worries me that they moved the Star Wars films from, like, a winter movie, which was, like, a prime time for those movies to come out, let's be honest. Because very little was out there other than, like, holiday fare and Christmas fare. You get, like, the vestigials from, like, Halloween and, like, some other holiday-themed films. But Star Wars kind of gave you something different that was a big-budget popcorn film, kind of when we need it the most. Because, let's be honest, you know, colleges are out for winter break. Kids are out of school. It's the best, you know, time to basically release a movie. And then all of a sudden for Disney to say, not me too, we've got to have like a spring, you know, almost summer release with everybody else. And to me it just feels like it's going to get lost in the shuffle.
Right. What I want to see is, I can't wait to see, is they keep moving it back, but watch. I'm gonna probably predict this. If they come out, it's going to be direct to video, but I want to say they're going to shelve it or put it direct to video. They're going to probably more than likely put it in direct to video instead of shelving it, and that's Avatar, because when you have, well, let me change that now that I think about it. I just worked 7 hours. I'm tired. My brain's all over the place. So please, Sasha, forgive me. The way Star Wars: The Last Jedi was taken by fans and how it shook the fan base, Avatar, if it's released in theaters, will be a viable contender if released roughly the same time as Star Wars in the winter months, because you're going to have a decent-sized fan base saying, heck with Star Wars, they burned me so bad last time around, I'm not going to see the new one, why bother? I'm going to see Avatar. And you might see that whole influx of down with the old, in with the new, even though it's been, close to 10 years since we had an Avatar movie, and it might be the thing that shakes everything up, because look what happened with Star Wars The Force Awakens. That was, 10, 15 years prior, I should say, after the last prequel. So there might be something there.
Well, I don't know. This may sound weird for me to bring it up, but I think Star Wars has kind of adopted, kind of like, at least the most recent run of Star Wars movies, I have a feeling that they've kind of adopted, like, the Star Trek mentality, but in reverse. Because you know how, like, the first Star Trek movie completely sucked, but everybody went to see it because they're all like, ooh, Star Trek in cinemas. And then, you know, a lot of people were like, eh. And then the second one came out and blew it completely out of the water. You know, the third one was kind of but the fourth one was alright. I think Star Wars is kind of the opposite of that. Force Awakens kind of like was like, okay, they finally showed us what they can do with the Star Wars movie. They know what the material's about. This second one was kind of them finding their footing and fumbling a little bit. But keep in mind, like, Rogue One, and I know a lot of people hate on Rogue One, I personally enjoyed Rogue One because it was different. It was Star Wars, but it wasn't Star Wars. And I think Solo could offer that, but I don't know. With the way that the directors were shuffled around, the way casting choices have been thrown about, there's been so much conflict with that. I think, if any reason why Disney would put it in the summer month, is to bury it because of that. Because they already know, hey, this was a troubled production from the get-go. You know, from casting on down.
I could see your point where, for one, as we both know, in recent years, the summer months they once were the dominating force of movie releases, where they were just simply blockbusters one after another. Now it's no longer the case. When you see recent years, and two, I'm going to have to agree with what you said in comparison with Star Wars and Star Trek. Whereas with The Last Jedi, it was that complete surprise and that complete success. And I wouldn't say they gaining their footing is just that they might have bought their own, I wouldn't say their own hype. It was more or less where with Star Trek is, oh my God, we sucked. We got to do better next time. We earned enough to do another movie. We better do better than the last one. And that's what happened. And with Star Trek, with The Force Awakens, it was just a home run. And with the second one, instead of continuing that run, they just stumbled. They just fell. And it just, well, we don't know what happened. Well, that's the thing. You saw yourself as a success, and you got cocky.
Right.
In a way. And that's what hurt them. They got cocky, and they kind of overextended themselves. They stumbled upon their own feet, and then instead of putting their own shoes on, they put on Goofy's shoes on, which are way too big, and they look like clown shoes.
Exactly. And that's, I think, a lot of the trouble with Star Wars right now, because Disney's trying to establish their hold and have their own footing, and they want to kind of take the direction away from where George Lucas took it, because let's be honest, with the prequels, he really screwed it up. And to me, honestly, I think the reason why, basically, how can I put it best? Basically, the prequels were a little muddled was because he had way too much budget. Basically, 20th Century Fox was like, here's all the money, go make your movies. Whereas when Episode 4, as everybody called it, I just call it Star Wars because I grew up during that generation when it was just Star Wars. But when that initially came out, he had zero budget. 20th Century Fox had zero confidence in him. It was like, okay, make your space opera. You might be able to throw it in drive-ins and make a couple of bucks. And here he blew it out of the water. It was an unexpected success. It became the movie why they built, drive-ins and cinemas. Granted, Jaws kind of was a predecessor there, but still, it was kind of like what cemented the tentpole of a summer blockbuster franchise.
I'm willing to say it was not just that. I'm going to agree with a couple of people I won't say I once knew, but I once listened to, is that not only was Fox just tossing money at George Lucas when it came to Star Wars, I think it was the aspect of he was surrounded by his own yes men. And he just ran with it. They told him, do whatever you want, just do it. Fox was, do whatever you want, we don't care. And Lucas was like, okay, I want this, I want this, I want this, and everybody was like, instead of saying, George, no, it's got to be at least decent, we got to have some control, but they went, all right, have at it, George, yes, go at it, yes, and we got the prequels.
Right, and to me, I'm not saying that the prequels are bad, but if George Lucas, let's say, had a more modest budget instead of all the money, it could have been more streamlined. We could have still had a pod racing sequence, but it would have been toned back, which it really needed to be. We may not have had Jar Jar, which was a big departure from Episode 1. We may not have had a lot of the focus because to me, the prequels felt more Star Trek than they did Star Wars. Yes, there's politics in Star Wars, but it's heavier in Star Trek. You know what I mean? And Star Wars...
I want to say we still would have had Jar Jar, but we probably would have had the Jar Jar that everybody says we initially would have had, which was evil Jar Jar or Sith Jar Jar. And why am I using air quotes when I'm audio only?
Exactly. But The thing of it is to me, I don't really see that working, honestly. But yeah, it was a folly of basically Lucas. And to me, it was, as I like to call it, Ridley Scott syndrome. I mean, Ridley Scott made some great movies, and then people started giving him money, and then he started making crap. And George Lucas fell prey to it as well. You know, I'm quite sure you've read the script treatments for Gladiator 2 by now. If you haven't, you need to, because, yeah, just be glad that didn't happen. As terrible as it makes me sound, and granted, I don't condone this kind of thing, but if I was Ridley Scott's brother and he was talking about, hey, let's work together and make Top Gun 2, one of the movies he made popular, which was done by Ridley Scott's brother, I would have killed myself too. Just so it didn't happen. Hate to say. I know, a dick thing for me to say, but I'm sorry. Ridley Scott needed to stop. I don't want to see, Tom Cruise pushing almost 50, trying to climb into a fighter jet. I mean, it was laughable enough as short as he was in the original movie.
Yes, in regards to a possible Top Gun 2, we don't need it. Why now? Why now? It's this far out. Granted, we're talking about Star Wars and Star Trek, but it's the sequels in regards to something like this. It's too far out. Just like, I think, what is doing a sequel to as well? Mary Poppins 2. Now talk about, my God, the original was back in, late 70s, early 80s? If not late 60s? And they're doing a sequel now?
You gotta admit, though, it's just chilling to see what they're doing with Winnie the Pooh a little bit, because I think that's kind of, because you gotta understand Christopher Robin was based on a real person whose life was really fucked up because of that character, and then for them to make a movie about Christopher Robin's all grown up, that's kind of messed up. Right. Disney's kind of hit that wall. Because I don't know if you've ever read the story about the basis of Christopher Robin and his life after the books of Winnie the Pooh and the cartoons and everything else. Disney is kind of pushing some boundaries there with that. I was a little shocked because it seems like it's going to be a very depressing movie, and it should be. But, it's going to have that Disney touch to it. It's going to have fluff in it, and it's like, you can't fluff this story. This guy died.
I don't know to laugh, but when you say fluff, my mind goes straight to that Supernatural episode with the suicidal teddy bear. Fluff.
Well, we are talking about a show that's already jumping the shark by going into Scooby-Doo-verse, so...
Oh, I want to see that. I'll probably be laughing my ass off.
I just gotta go, what? Seriously. Come on, Warner Brothers. You're already screwing up DC Universe. Why? Why are you screwing up your TV shows that are popular?
Don't get me started on that. You probably tossed me off in regards to why I got into an argument on Facebook. Yeah, Facebook of all things, and was told of how dare I insult somebody's intelligence in regards to that.
Are we talking Tom Cruise's Green Lantern or the recent set shots from Shazam?
It was basically about how the CW was writing things. This was a couple of months ago. But I seen the shots in regards to Shazam. It looked like a bad 80s flick, or late 90s flick or something like that. It looked like something like Fantastic Four done badly. I'm talking about the first, not the Roger Corman. I'm talking about the one that Fox first did in the late 90s.
Yeah. That one was that was early 2000s. But considering what we had before, which was nothing, and nobody really knew what the Corman one was like, and even though the Corman one was great, I mean, these were people who honestly tried to make a good movie that in the end run was only going to be shelved. They did a good job. for what they had, for a low budget, where they basically, here, Roger Corman, here's $1 million. Make a Fantastic Four movie. And it's Roger Corman. I mean, this dude can, set on a penny and turn it into a dime somehow. This guy is a genius with that. I mean, come on. I mean, without him, we wouldn't have, Jack Nicholson, Vincent Price, Robert Carradine. Hell, there was a lot of greats that came out of that. We just touched on Avatar. James Cameron worked on him. It's just it worked for him. It's just one of those things. James Cameron was a set designer on a bunch of his movies, and a lot of people don't realize that. And I think that movie kind of fell through the cracks. And it's weird because we did get the Captain America movie from that era, and we did get, of course, the Punisher movie from that era, and it was just the missing set piece, We could have had an 80s Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Now, you talked about, or touched on briefly about Tom Cruise's Green Lantern. I saw that briefly, but I don't think I tagged the post to fully look on it. What's happening with that?
Right now, it's all conjecture. You know how that goes.
Right.
A bunch of people were saying, oh, Tom Cruise is interested in playing the Green Lantern, and it's like, okay, which one's he going to play? Is he going to play douchebag, what was his name, Kyle Katran? No, I'm thinking of something else, ain't I? But it was Kyle something.
Right.
It wasn't the first Green Lantern who was the fighter pilot. It was the second one. Because the first one was Hal Jordan, but then you had Kyle, who was kind of a douchebag and became evil. I could see Tom Cruise play that one.
But I think he's a little... He's played out a little bit. I think he's toward the end. He is at the end of his acting run, probably. Especially since if the rumors are true. I don't know if you've heard about the rumors regarding Mr. Cruise. For those who don't know, rumor has it that he has quit Scientology and he's gone clear. But I seriously doubt that. Seriously.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Right.
It's all with any Hollywood hype machine. You're going to get some of that. I mean, look at everything that's going on in Hollywood right now. You're always hearing about these side stories and everything else. I mean, it's madness.
Well, when it comes down to Hollywood, I respect that everybody has their own opinion and take on things. You, me, that guy over there, so to speak, the people in chat, whoever's here. But the thing about Hollywood is, to me, it's very open to skepticism because, yes, someone like Tom Cruise or Jimmy Kimmel or you point at a celebrity. Yes, they have an opinion, but they're also can be hired as a paid actor to say whatever you tell them to. So it's kind of hard to say whether or not that person is telling you their honest-to-God opinion or whatever is being paid to them, or they're just saying something so they could get a job next week.
Right.
So, I'm not denying anybody's opinion, but if someone told you, yeah, granted, Sasha, you have your own standards and morals, but what if someone told you, we're going to pay you $15 million, but you have to do this role as who you are, but you have to, go out in public and podium and say, RuPaul is a nice guy.
That would never happen. I wouldn't even take the money on that. I've got scruples.
If not, you're going to be blackballed. You'll never get a career in Hollywood again. Not to mention, you won't be able to get the role.
I can stay B-level like Charlie Sheen. I got tiger's blood. I'm all right. As long as it ain't got AIDS in it, we're good.
Mm-hmm. But you know what I'm trying to say here in regards to this. Yeah, it's just an example. You have your. I'm not trying to side with anybody. You know what? RuPaul, like him, hate him, whatever. As far as I'm concerned, he could fade to black. Pun possibly intended. Fade to black and fade out of existence. I'm not denying what he does or who he has become in modern culture. I respect what he has done in modern culture. If you can agree with that in some way, minor way. But I think, like most people, he has had his run, if I'm using proper terminology when it comes to RuPaul. He has had his run, and that's that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to, Sasha, if I'm using wrong terminology, please feel free to correct me.
No.
When it comes to someone like him, but he's been around doing his thing, his shtick, if you want to call it that. I don't want to insult the man. For better part of 30 plus years, give or take,
mm-hmm.
and nowadays it's like more or less like, why just me personally, it's like I'm not knocking who he is or does, just shoot, go away, go. Give us something new, something new, something fresh.
Right. And and here's my take on it, and this is just the way I see it. The problem with RuPaul is that, oh God, I hate to use this terminology. He's the reverse Elvis. He took something from a community that wasn't his, the trans community, and used it to make himself a name and money. Ergo, reverse Elvis.
Well, please forgive my curiosity and my naiveness. Couldn't that be said by a lot of people who might dress up as drag in an environment like Atlantic City or Vegas?
Yes.
Dressing up as Cher or someone similar to Saint as an impersonator?
It could be, yes. But here's where the lines are kind of drawn. And this is something that a lot of people don't really understand, is that the whole culture of my community basically started that trend. Because we started going to what was supposed to be the LGBTQIA clubs back in the day. Granted, they just called them the LGB clubs because they didn't know any better. Or the LG clubs because they had no definition of that. But, they saw anybody who was male that appeared genetically male, let's put it that way, or biologically male, or assigned male, however you want to define it, who was effeminate and appeared female as gay. And granted, that's the completely wrong aspect, because I know plenty of transgender lesbians. I know plenty of... there's a wide spectrum. Alright? But in those clubs, a lot of people like myself felt comfortable. We could represent as how we felt, how we identified. Granted, we're talking about the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s when the culture was trying to make an uprising again. Because before all of that, we were just known as the new half or the two spirits in earlier cultures. Yes, this isn't a new thing. We've always existed. But society changed, There was a time when, and I want to say this is like well before the 1900s, 1920s, that every child, male or female, wore dresses. This is why you'll see notable presidents supposedly dressed in drag as children. That was the acceptable. You couldn't tell male or female children apart back in the day until they grew up, until they hit a certain age. Because at that point, they weren't considered to be a gendered member of society until they achieved that age. Which I think is an interesting concept, and it's weird that we finally, are starting to look at that. Same way with the concepts of pink and blue. There used to be a time when it was totally fetching for someone who identified as male to wear pink and women to wear blue. And that's crossed. Same way with high heels. I mean, high heels back in the day, those were stirrup shoes for warriors that rode on horseback. And this is stuff that's just been laundried from culture, and preference. And it all kind of boils into each other. And it's a very complex thing. But the point I'm trying to make here is that with the drag community, the people who did female impersonation, everything that came from drag, actually started with the transgender people who just dressed to appear female. Then there were a couple of gay men who didn't live it 24/7 and were like, hey, I look pretty good dolled up. I can make money doing this. And that's how it got adopted. Because at the end of the day, drag and female impersonation came from the transgender community. And it's hard for people to get that past them. And here's RuPaul saying, I invented that. Honey, no. Just no. I even think some of the people from Shakespeare's time would have to argue with you a little bit on that. Just say.
So true.
You didn't invent it. You didn't put a stamp on it. Sorry. And this is a guy who, time and time again, the community has forgiven. Like, on the show Drag Race, he had a feature called She-Mail for his mailbag, for mail that he received. Again, an offensive term. A term that's used by the porn industry, the adult film industry, that sexualizes the trans community, fetishizes the trans community. And to a lot of us, we feel that is an offensive term. Granted, I have no problem with the adult film industry or anything of that nature. Sex sales. Otherwise, I wouldn't be dressed like this at the moment. But the thing of it is not only that, but look at some of my friends. I mean, I hang out with known people who hang out with that industry because, let's be honest, when you delve into the horror realm, you kind of bump shoulders with a lot of those people. And a lot of those people are really friggin' cool. I ain't gonna lie. You haven't had a good time until you sit down and slammed a few beers with Ron Jeremy. Or my buddy, Nadia White. She's awesome as hell and working for Troma now. And that's just friggin' cool.
Well, Sasha, you're hanging out with a bunch of weird people. Take me, for instance. While you were talking and I was listening, I finally opened one of my boxes of Thin Mints and been sniffing it pleasurably for the past 2 minutes. Oh, what a feeling.
Yeah, we all have our drugs. Speaking of...
I don't know why I eat Thin Mints. They ain't making me thin. I'll tell you that right now.
Right? You need to sue them. False advertising. It would be a hot lawsuit. I know 100 people would probably jump on that right now. So, since we kind of touched on RuPaul and how I feel about him, one of the things I wanted to bring up, and this is something I find very interesting, is that Mattel right now, Mattel's been doing all kinds of things to reinvigorate their line. Last month was Women in Horror Month. This past, a couple days ago, was International Women's Day.
Oh, that's all been Mattel?
Right. Well, not Mattel doing that, but Mattel is jumping in on the bandwagon saying, hey, we've made Barbie for years, which, to be honest, if you look at the roots of Barbie, it's kind of funny because that started out as a sex doll in Germany.
I never knew that.
Yeah, fun fact. Look it up. Barbie started out as a sex doll, and then it became a high-fashion model toy, and then it's been copied the world over. But, as you know, there's all kinds of characters that Mattel has produced, and Mattel has basically said, hey, why don't we put some real women role models out there? And I think that's interesting, because it's great, because they got the one artist, Frida, I can't think of her name. I always call her Crazy Eyebrows. I'm an asshole. Deal with it. Because she had that unibrow going on, but she rocked it. She lived with it. She probably knew what was going on. But still, they got her, Amelia Earhart. They're going to do a whole line of women in history Barbies. And they're talking about people from current times until the past. And there is an active petition now to get someone from the trans community. Thank God nobody's brought up Caitlyn Jenner. Everybody just stay shut up about that. Don't even bring her up. Keep her out. Thank you. But the person that's been suggested has been, of course, Laverna Cox. Now, don't get me wrong. It's great that there's a bunch of artists, there's a bunch of entertainers, there's a bunch of, great people that are out there. And though Laverna has done a lot of good things for basically the community, I don't know if that's something I would want to give a child to represent our community from the female population, if you understand what I'm saying. I would rather...
I just want to make sure I am catching what you're tossing. You're saying, even though, now, I don't have any qualms with the transgender community, just that if I get what you're saying is from the time being, not in doll form. Well,
they're trying, because right now, Mattel suggested, hey, we do want to have the trans community represented, which I think is cool. And so there's an active petition to get Laverna to be who they choose, which, again, I think is additionally interesting. But, you got Danica Rome, who is now a senator, Virginia. Not only that, a friggin' rock star. Perfect Barbie material, I'm sorry to say. And something for little girls to grow up with. Kristen Beck, she's in politics. Activism. Activists. Granted, somebody threw to me about Jazz, what's her name? Jazz, I can't think of her last name, to save my life. She already has a doll. And I hate to say it, her doll's like $90 frickin' dollars. Because it's a sellout. This isn't a Barbie for between a price point of 20 and, let's say, $40. This is a doll that's almost twice that, if not 3 times that amount. Jazz, you're a sellout. Yes, you're a teenager. Yes, I feel bad for saying that about somebody who's still so young, but you have sold yourself out. You're not representing our community. Sorry. No, it's not cool. But no, she has a doll out there. But it's great that Mattel, who's an established company, who has made toys for years, is basically now saying, hey, we want to go ahead and represent the transgender community. And it's great that there's petitions out there, but I think there's better candidates. There's way better candidates. Christine Jorgensen, whose life was kind of, sort of, but not exactly, made into that horrible Ed Wood film, Glenn or Glinda. But Christina Jorgensen would be perfect, because she was a soldier who came back and was one of the first in the United States to have, as everybody likes to call it, the operation, back then. And we're talking, the 50s. Unheard of, back then. And she was a pioneer. And, of course, history has always glazed over that. Her name escapes me, but the young lady who is a transgender woman who threw the first rock at cops at Stonewall. Transgender woman. Now, granted, you'll hear a lot of the LGBTQIA community speak of it, but seldom do they bring up the fact that the first person to throw the first stone at Stonewall to get the civil rights movement going for lesbian, gay, and what have you, was a transgender woman. But again, them taking our history from us. As terrible as that makes me sound. I mean, because basically she was out on a night out, kind of like me. Cops come in to bust heads, and she's like, you know what, I'm sick of this crap. And you know me, I'm going to throw a rock. Because that's how I am. Or bear mace somebody, whatever comes first.
Well, from what I heard, you'd throw something else other than a rock.
I've thrown those too. I've thrown those too. I'll throw whatever I can get my hands on. So trust me, projectile titties is not unusual. Which I need to stop because I got a leak in one and it sucks. It's like, man, here's another $50 investment I gotta make.
Yeah. As you probably saw one of my posts, like, you know what? The last thing I need is something. You know, I'm a weird person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the kind of person that would buy something just for shits and giggles, especially if I had the money for it. And it's like, would I have a sex doll for shits and giggles? Yes, I would. But I no. I'm paranoid. I am severely weird. I don't want something that looks remotely like a human that can be possessed. I've seen Chucky one too many times. Thank you so much. No.
Oh, watch Love Object. That is a very screwed up horror movie. It's about one of those real dolls that a dude gets obsessed with. Makes it look like one of his coworkers that he's completely nutty about. And then it kind of devolves from there where he completely ruins the doll and gets to the point where he's pissed at the doll and cuts it up and hacks it up and thinks about, well, how can I kidnap my coworker and make her my new doll? And is reading up on mummification and preservation. It's a weird movie.
Probably one I'll probably be stumbling on soon.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. It's different, but it's weird. I just like the whole scene where he's got the cut-up doll, and the cops are starting to question about it, and they realize it's just a sex doll he's trying to throw out and just laugh at him. And here he is, like, trying to bury it in the middle of the woods like it's a real person, you know what I mean?
Sounds something like I would probably do. It moved. I'm going to bury it in my backyard.
Right, exactly. Weird movie. Worth checking out if you've not seen it. Probably not anywhere on the level of the romantic story that they have that was like a Sundance film. Complete opposite. So if you're looking for something that's that movie, Love Object is not what you're looking for. You want to stay far away. That movie gets a little demented. Alright, so what other topics here?
Let's see here. Side note, I think I started a war with my local newspaper.
Uh-oh. What happened there?
Basically, my local paper, I wish my phone had enough charge so I could bring it up in regards to my response. They did a front page. It took more than about half that front page. Not so much the top half or bottom half, but a very sizable chunk, including the photo, about a local up-and-coming podcast that I'm not knocking them any way, shape, or form. They're doing a serial type of podcast, which means story-based, for those out there who don't know. But this was like, okay, they dropped their first episode, and they're going to do a live stream in a couple of weeks for their second, and I'm like, oh, fuck no. Oh, fuck no. Sasha, I'm sorry to go this route, but hell, I'm like, dude, I've been hustling and jiving my show for the past 2.5 years at every freaking event that the paper is at. I get nothing. And these folks just stroll on in, and all of a sudden, front page news. Oh, hell no. Hell no.
Yep.
And I left a pretty sizable comment on their article on their page saying, really, I've been doing this for 2.5 years, and you guys ignore the fucking shit out of me. I didn't curse, but I was very polite and formal. And I was like, I have nothing against what these people are doing and that they're everything else. Mm-hmm. But you guys did not contact me. You avoid me. You do this. You do that. And with all the people that I've spoken with and interviewed, you do this. why was I never approached? Why was I never contacted?
Yeah.
Was it because of the name of our show? Oh, if it was, why didn't you call us out? We would have been more than happy to have one of your reporters on our show to talk about news, things, and everything else. But no. And I said, I politely ended it by saying, well, thank you. It's like, if you choose to ignore us, we will continue to have great guests on our show and awesome content. Sincerely yours, the Long Coat Mafia Podcast. So, I was like, yep, let's see you answer that son of a bitch.
Yep.
And when I check every now and again to see if anybody posted anything on it, underneath it, it varies every now and again between being posted and being there. I'm like, oh, wow, this is going to be good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree.
And I'm not going to, if I, part of me is like, oh, yeah, I'm going to walk past their building one of these days and go, you guys really don't like me, do you? Just walk right in the building and say, you guys don't like me, do you? Why? Who are you? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think a lot of times the media likes to pick and choose who they want to champion and things of that nature. And, I mean, it's kind of sad, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, you know what I mean? I mean, it's kind of like with me. I mean, I had media coverage for the longest time, and then all of a sudden, I started to shake things up in good old Chambersburg, and they're like, ooh, wait, this chick's actually getting stuff rolling in Chambersburg, PA. That's kind of scary, And that's when the clampdown media silence hit me, and I'm like, oh, isn't that lovely? But it's funny, because like any of the organizations that I started and that was taken over by other organizations, they've suddenly disappeared and have been silenced as well. And I'm like, well, ain't that some funny shit? See what happens when you don't keep me around?
Yeah, for me, it's like, well, I have a little bit of a name for myself, and I'm kind of hated amongst the library board for speaking my mind against them charging for their conference room in an area that's mostly a low-income area and other things. But not to mention, I'm also hated by the city promotional committee because of how they don't do anything and have lack of promotion for the area.
Right.
And thus, because of these two organizations speak to each other and have, how dare I say, colleagues in the paper, no wonder the paper doesn't want to talk to me.
Well, it's kind of like with me lately. A certain someone by the name of Jason Schrader, who goes by the name of Big Bob, no longer exists at a particular radio station anymore. Gee, I wonder who had some hands in that. Let me put it this way. I pushed for a lot of things on that. And I hate to say it, a certain zombie prom, I'm one of the chicks that helped get that shut down too. Because I was one of the first ones to go, Hagerstown, they're talking bad about you. What you all going to do about that? You pay for a lot of advertising with them. And here's all their offensiveness against suicides. Here's all their offenses against the LGBTQ community. Here's all their offensiveness against West Virginia. I gave them a laundry list. And I guess somebody started to listen, and suddenly certain personalities weren't on the air anymore.
Right. The thing is, for me, it's like with the whole aspect of the paper, it was like, it was one of those things I was cruising for a little bit of a fight, or at least, I don't want to call it a fight because I don't think the paper's going to do anything, but just that earlier today, I had a wonderful conversation. I mean that in the not sarcastic way, a wonderful conversation with the promoter from Virginia Comic-Con. And the reason why I'll say that here, folks, is that for those of you who might not be familiar with my show, last week or I should say last Monday, not this past Monday, I had an open letter to AwesomeCon because we got rejected for our press pass. And someone on one of the fan boards for AwesomeCon put up a question regarding to a press pass, and I passed a comment, oh yeah, good luck with that. Then you're going to be denied quicker than, water going downhill because your name isn't Chris Hardwick. And after a few comments, Brett popped up, and he literally explained why a con such as AwesomeCon might not cater to the little guys like us, because he's been through it dealing with guys, not so much guys like me or you that would actually work a show. It's a lot of the bad apples that he had to deal with, and how the environment has changed over the years, and how it's moved in a different route with, in regards to social media, and how geekdom has changed. It was a very polite conversation, and there was no hard feelings. It wasn't, a Facebook, rant, argument. It was an actual conversation. It was very polite, and my respect for him has grown because I did attend one of his shows way back in the day, and what can I say? It was polite. He was very informative, and it was something. What he said and what he told me was something that AwesomeCon should have at least been polite enough to tell me.
Right,
and it took someone like him to do that.
Right. No.
That's why I have my respect for him.
Exactly, and that's great. And that's why we both love Matt Burns. I mean, Matt Burns, I don't know, is a great promoter. I hate to plug him. And granted, I want to kind of clear the air here because there's been some rumors going around from some people like, ooh, Sasha's not going to the 4-State Comic-Con this March, and I'm not. And it's because my friend has a wedding, and one of his best man wants me to be his date, and I'm like, hey, you said you had me at open bar, and it was a sealed deal when it was a friend's wedding. You know what I mean?
Right. And for me, I've told Matt this was a couple of months ago when I first put in for the press pass for AwesomeCon. It's like, dude, this is not against you, but I'm going to have enough money for either your show or AwesomeCon, but I'm going to try for that brass ring. This is not against you. And I just want to gun for that brass ring. And once I got denied, he was the first person that said, you're more than welcome to be at my show. You're more than welcome. That offer's still there. And I told him flat out, this was maybe a week ago, that if I could get a ride to the show, I'll be more than happy to pay a ticket.
Why not talk with my buddy, Jerry. Jerry, I just made friends with him on Facebook because he's another horror host like I am. He does Monster Mania. He's out of Virginia. He's not too far from you. He could probably come up and swing by. I can say something to him and see what happens.
Right.
I can't guarantee it.
It's just one of those things that I told him. I know Matt probably would say, I'm going to stress that word, probably, would say, just come right in. But I had to at least make the offer, say, Matt, I'm willing to pay ticket price to get in the door.
That's why I've told Matt, I'm like, dude, him and I have been talking about doing a horror show forever. And I'm like, hey, I've got several places that want to do this. You want to do it at Blue Heron? Let's do it at Blue Heron. Give me a date. I'm there. I'll MC. I'll do a costume contest. I'll do whatever you want. But, and I hate to phrase it this way, because, again, it goes into some family politics, because one of the comic shops is owned and ran by family, and I love them to death, but the Comic-Con lately has become too commercial. I liked it when it was small, you know what I mean? Where it felt like ours, you know what I mean? and now it's a big structure. You know what I mean? And I don't like that. It was more intimate in the other cons that he had before, and this last one, it was fun. Don't get me wrong, but this last one just didn't have the same punch as the other two that I went to, at least. And again, it's nothing against Matt. I get it, because you want that viability, you want that money, you want that revenue, but there was something different to it. You know what I mean?
The new location, it's not, again, this is not against Matt. This is not against Matt. New location. I don't know if they knew how to handle the new location, or what the limitations were with the new location. That is details on Matt's side of things that I did not have privy to.
Right.
So this is just me trying to clarify things and step back in regards to certain things. When it came to the event itself, I think those things had their issues. And right now, I don't know how things are going to team up this time around, or how he's doing things this time around, because I'm not that close to things as I was last time or the time before that. So, again, not knocking Matt. So I would love to at least go to see how things have changed year two at the same location. I just know at the last event Matt had, the one that was in Hagerstown, I was in a quasi-bad spot. From a personal standpoint, I had a nice view, but that's from a single cis guy's point of view. But
the cosplayers, let's be honest. Just spit it out.
But that's
honey, that ain't just the cis thing. I'm poly, so it's all good. And pan, so it makes things all wonderful.
But being in that one spot from a promotional standpoint, it was a bad spot. Because I'm not knocking any of the cosplayers whatsoever. All of them were wonderful and nice, and in more ways than one. And I'm being very polite, just in case any of them see this in the future. Just that when the majority of the crowd that does come around that corner are sticking to the cosplayers like white on rice, it's kind of hard to say, hey, look at me, I have something to promote, and it's free, and it ends up being a distraction.
Now, something I've wanted to know, have you guys set up like a Patreon and done anything with Patreon yet?
Big Handy has told me, it's like, tried to set up something maybe $1 or $2, like $1 or $5 field that way, tier. That way it's there, set up, and try to bring in more people and some sort of income. But I'm not knocking Big Handy, but I'm kind of leery of it, because right now our show is still way too small, and I don't know how, if Patreon can or would be effective in any way, shape, or form.
It all depends on how you advertise it, and there's a lot of people who follow Patreon, because there is a lot of free content on Patreon. One of the things I found with Patreon, and a couple of my friends who use it, is that, like, your episodes will still be available to everyone, but those who chip in a little more might get access to some bonus content. Like, tonight, I was filming some back-to-back episodes, and I have a lot of outtakes. Like, my phone is full of outtakes at the moment, like some hilarious screwed up outtakes, because my mom snores, and my brother's been pacing the halls tonight, and it's been funny, because like every time I'll try to say a line, it's like, fuck. You know, somebody will belch, or somebody will fart, or somebody will snore at an inappropriate time, and I just can't stop laughing. Paper thin walls, what can I say? I found it humorous, but I'm like, that's bonus content right there. It doesn't cost me anything, I can throw it in there. And granted, with me, I don't know for you. I mean, granted, I have some friends who might be able to debate this, but with me, extra photos, a little bit more racier content, you can throw that out there. And trust me, my one friend Christopher Weirsinger, he might be able to hook you up with some of them racy photos if you're so inclined. There are times when it shows up in my timeline, I'm like, dude, no. I get it. You're the Celtic whatever you are, but there's weird, and then, dude, it's like, you're way past my level. Way past my level. Like, you remember Pearl from Blade?
Pearl from Blade.
Blade. Wesley Snipes movie, Blade.
Yeah.
Okay, and they interrogate Pearl with the sunray gun. Oh. Okay, add a G-string and stockings to that. I love him. I love him because he's open and he's confident with his body and everything else, and it's like, you're awesome, but it's not for me. I feel bad because I want to support him, but when it shows up in my timeline, I'm just like, I'm good, you know? I'm like, I love you. You're great. Embrace your body. No more power to you.
That's why it's like,
that's a content warning at least.
It's like, I'm incredibly self-aware, that's why.
I'm like, there are certain angles I won't take pictures of him. He don't care. It's all there.
Oh, I want to know.
And it's like,
where's my thumb drive with the Suicide Girls photos?
Yeah, you get what I'm saying. But like, there are different things that you can do, like on Patreon. Like, even if you want to just give shout-outs to people at the end or plug their business. Yes, cheap, shameless promotion. But it's not something that can be brought up during your show where it feels like advertisement. It can be brought up toward the end. Or it could be, this show is brought to you by blankety, 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 blank. You know? Or to even help, because you deal with a lot of causes. You deal with a lot of people. You're a people person. You're totally somebody anybody could talk to. I'm quite sure there are organizations and places out there that you could help represent, and it kind of becomes like a symbiotic relationship where you both get advertisement off of it. I mean, look at what I've been, doing with trying to promote my upcoming, creature double features. I've reached out to all these alcohol places. Yo, send me cheap booze. I'll advertise your booze while I drink it on the air. And all I ask is that you send me a bottle. Free advertising for you. Free liquor for me. Win-win.
It's just something that I have to toy around with. It might be as simple as thanks and shout, like $1 tier, you get a thanks and shout out. Maybe the $5 tier, same as the $1 tier, but if I go to an event, either 4-state or larger, you get access to the photos first,
or your
something like that.
You alright? You okay? That's alright. I'm just making sure you're okay, dude. Okay. Is there something I can help you with? Okay. But, no, just, one of, sorry about that. Andy's back from the hospital, and he's feeling a little rough. They upped his medication and things of that nature, and you know how it goes. So he's just adapting. Right. He's a trooper. Love him to death.
Oh, is he okay?
Yeah, he's okay. He's just limping down to lay down. I guess he had to use the restroom or something, so. But, no, somebody asked who the dude in the pic is. That, obviously, you just answered that's you. I went ahead and just added your pic, because I always feel bad, because I never have, like, a dedicated logo or something for you whenever you're on the show. And, granted, I love plugging your show, but I know you do things separate from the show, too. And it's kind of like, how do I represent you, necessarily? and it's difficult with the PlayStation 4.
Right.
Because, I mean, granted, aside from putting a little monitor here and, like, Bill Gates in your ass, like some sort of, like, teleconference shit, that's the only thing I can think of. And I know your internet gets kind of shitty there in West V, because I was there and lived there for a time. We had Wild Blue, which was that satellite internet. And yeah, it's really good, as long as it ain't raining, snowing, overcast, you don't have a cloud roll up over top your dish. It's perfect.
This past November, I switched from Frontier to Xfinity, and it's a whole hell of a lot faster. But thankfully.
Well, that's good. That's good. Because I know, like, one time we chatted, it kind of kept kicking out on you and I didn't know what had changed. I'm trying to think what other topics.
The change was I had Frontier and it sucked.
Ha. I'm trying to figure out what other things we can talk about that are big news in, like, horror and stuff. Oh, yes. You watched, well, granted, I hate the Oscars. I only watch, like, the highlights and stuff. So I gotta ask you, because you know how much of a horror fan I am. What was missing in Memorandum?
I know, from what I heard, because I don't watch the Oscars, but from what I heard, Adam West and, like, 2 other people.
Yeah, but we're talking horror here, bud.
Past horror was. Holy crap.
Okay, little clue. Ring, 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 ring. Also, they're back.
Shit. You just made a,
Poltergeist reference. And granted, we could debate on who actually directed that. And we're not talking about Steven Spielberg. He's alive and well, and unfortunately, we've got a Jurassic World 3 already announced, and the new movie's not even out yet. We'll talk about that later. But the other party. Successful series of slasher movies based on the killings of Ed Gein. Of course, a lot of horror movies have been based on the killings of Ed Gein. Ed Gein was pretty prolific.
I forgot.
Toby
like I said,
frickin' Hooper.
Oh, Toby Hooper. Like I said, I had one hell of a night. Where I work, they were, decided, for the past couple of weeks, it's been like, alright, you're going to come in at 3 o'clock, and we'll have everybody out by 8:30, 9 o'clock. Tonight, they decided, you know what, you're going to be in at 3, we're going to just kick y'all out by 10:45.
Ugh.
And this was like a last minute thing, and what seemed like that once I got the thing I needed to get done, so I could finally get done, everything cleaned up and leave. I was ready to do that 10 minutes before anybody came over to close out what I needed to be closed out and sent out so I could clean everything up. So I left 10 minutes later. And the whole time of me getting from where I was at to the front door, I was like, watch, the ride that I set up to take me back home is not going to be there. I'm going to have to walk all the way home, and I'm going to be pissed all the way home. And sure enough, my ride did not leave. They were out maybe 5 minutes prior to me getting there, so I was like, you know what, I'm still pissed, I'm still mad, I should have been home like 2 hours ago. If I'm not at home, I would have been out maybe at Pizza Hut having a pizza.
Right.
With my ride and, 1 or 2 other people just chillaxing at Pizza Hut, having a pizza, having a Coke, not caring. I would have got home by about 10:30, but I wouldn't have cared. I would have been full. My fat belly would have been full, but I would have been happy. But Toby Hooper, back to much better things. Toby Hooper.
Yeah, and Toby Hooper to me, like, he was very prolific. I mean, granted, yes, a lot of people will automatically equate him to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but there was a lot of contributions that he had to not only the horror genre, but so many other films. And a lot of people just don't realize that. I mean, granted, yes, more in his golden years, it started to be like low-budget cheese affair, but let's be honest, the same could be said about George Romero.
Right.
You know, and that's where I kind of draw the line. I mean, George Romero got mentioned. I've even heard rumor George Romero is getting a star in the Walk of Hollywood, and I'm like, great, it's about time. But to me, like, Tobe Hooper needed one of those ages ago. As far as I know, Wes Craven doesn't even have one yet. You know? John Carpenter, he's still alive and kicking it. And he games on PlayStation Network. So, hey, John Carpenter, if you're watching, hats off to you, man. But, because he PlayStation Networks. He loves PlayStation. He plays, like, the Fear games constantly, and he helped with some of those. And he even games with Guillermo del Toro, and to me, that's just, like, a total, like, mind blow. Like, you know what I mean? Just the thought of Guillermo del Toro, Robert Rodriguez, and John Carpenter all in game speak playing some game like Borderlands. That would be awesome. I would die. Especially if they were, like, punking some, like, little 12-year-old snot-nosed brat. You know what I mean? Just saying. But, you know, the fact that a lot of these people are not on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And, like, going back to Roger Corman. I mean, like, dude, if you've never looked up Roger Corman and not only just the movie he's directed, but produced. I mean, this guy, and even in the production level, because you know how most producers are like, get a director and I'll throw some money at it and let him do whatever. No, like, Roger Corman, if he produced something, he produced it. You know, he was more involved than the directors or the actors there. He was there every day. And he'd have like 4 or 5 movies going on at once. And this dude is still alive, and he's still kicking it, and he doesn't have a star on the Walk of Fame either. But yet, again, Jack Nicholson has one. Wouldn't be there for Roger Corman. Vincent Price has one. Wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Roger Corman. James freaking Cameron has one. He was an art director for most of Roger Corman's earlier films in like the 70s and the 80s. Like, come on, that dude had the ultimate produced movie starring Doug McClure, Fishmen Wanna Fuck, what is really known as Humanoids from the Deep. I mean, come on. I call it Fishmen Wanna Fuck because that's the premise of the movie.
I love teasing a buddy of mine at work. He's an old school basketball. He loves basketball, but he's a big fan of Shaq. He's a big fan of Jordan. The old school players, if you want to call them that. And when I found out that Kobe won an Oscar, all I did was walk right by him when I got into work on Tuesday was, "Hey, Tommy." He was like, "What?" "Kobe's got an Oscar. Kobe's got an Oscar. What does Shaq have? What does Shaq have?" He's like, "Fire." Just to push his buttons for a little while. And he'll come by later and push my button. Push my buttons in a good way. Not that guy in the way.
Well, I don't know.
It's late.
I'm about ready to get into like some reviews that dip in, now not WWE, because I hate what WWE did to movies. They suck. Like, come on, they remade Leprechaun as a serious horror movie. You don't do that. That's just, no. Even the first Leprechaun movie knew not to do that. Aside from the point. But I'm going to be talking about like some of the WWF wrestlers that you got in the movies. For example, Hulk Hogan. Yes, some of that stuff is pure cheese, but it's fun pure cheese. I mean, if you cannot watch Christopher Lloyd and Hulk Hogan in a film together, which is essentially a buddy pick, Suburban Commando, with Hulk Hogan being this weird alien bounty hunter from space, and not crack a smile, you have an issue. I mean, just his pants alone in the one scene is worth laughing at. Is it cheese? Is it crap? Yes. But damn it, is it not fun? And it's got Frank Welker in it. Come on, he does the voice of the main villain once he mutates. It's awesome. You know? You've got all of the, what was his name? Rowdy Roddy Piper. You know, all his movies. Hell Comes to Frogtown. Dude, like, I still want to know what the Dance of the Seven Snakes is. I don't want to know, but I'm still mildly curious.
There's questions you want to know, but you're not really sure you want the answer to.
And then, you know, you also have the definitive They Live. I mean, come on.
That, can't forget that.
That 10-minute fight scene alone is worth the price of admission. And did you know that was all ad-lib? Like, it was all done right there, as is, these two big old brutes just having a brawl. And that just blows my mind. They're like, yeah, just have at. We'll film it. And it's like, the fuck choreography? You know what I mean? And that is an epic movie. And I'm going to dip into some of that. And that's something I've been digging into. I mean, wrestling's not my bag. I'm going to have to bug my buddy Tannen a little bit, because I know he dips into the wrestling aspect a little bit, to see what other gems are out there. Aside from Princess Bride, yes, we all know Andre the Giant is in that. Just shut up about it. We know. Doesn't count. It's not horror. It's not sci-fi. It's not weird enough. I mean, it is weird, but it's not weird enough. It's mainstream weird. It'd be like me trying to review a White Castle film without getting high. Just saying. What other big news is out there for us in the fandom?
I know, don't mind me if I seem a little bit distracted. I am speaking with, I'm going to call him an acquaintance from down in Florida. He might be appearing on our show tomorrow, when we record, or I might be recording tomorrow night for my show dropping on Monday, and so we're just trying to schedule everything with him.
In translation, I'm on Pornhub.
No, I'm not on Pornhub.
Ex-hamster.
Not on Pornhub. It's you, no.
Can't judge.
Don't judge. Just because I like Asian, no.
Furry fandom? Hey, I got some friends.
Hey. At least it's not bronies.
Hey. Hey. It's for horses. And sometimes cows. And yes, I just shake the pony. I don't fucking care. I can like horror and ponies. Just don't like real ponies. I got this coworker who's addicted to horses.
I don't want to know.
Not like that. Not like the whole Queen of England bullshit. But she's like completely nutty about horses. I just got to hear about horses and fish all day long when I've got to work with her. But it's like, why do you hate Wednesdays and Thursdays? Those are your last 2 days of the week. And it's like, do you really want to sit and talk to somebody for 8 hours a day on your busiest days of the week about nothing but fishes and horses? You can't.
I'm going to have to let you talk to yourself a little bit, because I want to switch phones, because this one, my one phone that I've been using to help out has died, and I need to use the facilities real quick. So have fun picking on somebody.
All right, well, go squanch out.
I'm not going to do that. It's going to be the other.
The squanch.
So I'll be right back.
All right. So anyways, we've got a couple people in chat here, so what's going on? No, we're not doing that. That's not what we're about at this show. Laura Zinni? Stephanie? And Screwhead281. I mean, I get that's supposed to be a face. I mean, if you don't like what you see, just keep on trucking. Otherwise, welcome Blacklist. All right. So, what is everybody's favorite horror movie? Or better yet, what kind of horror creature or monster or thing that you're into, and I will chat a little bit about it while I take a sip off of this. Go right ahead. Though I will say, Screwhead, you got a pretty interesting picture. Not a bad looking bloke. Just being honest. You can deal with that hand however you want. And, much to Laura Zine's disappointment, these are shorts. This ain't a skirt. So, Don, did they provide you the answer that you were looking for? He's part of the Long Coat Mafia podcast. You can check them out on Spotify, Facebook, all social media. We'll have links up after the broadcast is aired, things of that nature. All right. Well, we got a real lively audience here. Not too many people in chat at the moment. We got 2 on YouTube. And we've got 4 on PlayStation Network. So, howdy anybody who's just joining us. Welcome to the podcast. Right now, my buddy Chris from the Long Coat Mafia podcast is taking a dog for a walk or using the facilities or what have you. So feel free to ask any questions. Please be appropriate or you will be blocked and banned. But we talk mostly horror, sci-fi here. I do deal with trans issues, but I deal with them in a polite and appropriate format. Yes, you can ask questions, but no, you can't be a dick about it. It's that simple. And if you want to ask me about gaming, movies, toys, music, what have you. A little bit about our show. Of course, this is Sasha, the Princess of Darkness. I'm your first and only transgender horror hostess with the Mostest. I'm also a proud part of the Trans Podcaster Visibility Initiative, which you can look up on Facebook, which helps bring visibility through podcasting, YouTubing, things of that nature to the transgender community. Granted, I'm not going to sit here and talk about heady transgender activism or, advocate things, because I don't want to lay that kind of jive on everybody. Some of the topics we discussed earlier, of course, was Mattel's option to do transgender Barbie, Shazam's appearance in the upcoming movie, the choice of a cheetah character in the new Wonder Woman movie, even though it seems like them trying to market off of Black Panther. And we've talked on some other sci-fi, horror, and comic-related fandom. So if you want to add into the fray, please feel free, taking all comments and questions. Alright, we got 3 viewers. Welcome, new viewers. And, of course, welcome to Podcast of Darkness. If you haven't checked us out yet, Sasha, the Princess of Darkness on Facebook. You can look us up on Twitter through our Facebook page. You can also check us out on Tumblr, Instagram, and Twitter. We're available all over the interwebs. We YouTube, as you haven't already figured out. We do live from PlayStation. And, of course, we sometimes do Twitch, but I'm not a big fan because I haven't figured out how to save videos on Twitch yet. So if anybody knows the magic on how to do that, please let me know. That would be awesome. Sounds like
I have returned and...
Now, did you wash your hands?
Yes, I have.
Because after a good squanch, you need to wash your hands.
I washed my hands.
Alright, you did use the appropriate sign above the sink on how to do that, correct?
Yes, I do.
Daylight savings time starts tomorrow. Oh, great. We lose an hour. How wonderful. Or do we gain an hour?
We lose.
Oh, that sucks. It's like time traveling, but the worst kind. Fun. So, welcome to the future, you all, apparently. So, anyways, one of the things we brought up was kind of Jurassic World 2. And one of the things I had mentioned is the fact that they're announcing another sequel prior to the release of Jurassic World 2. How do you feel about that?
I mean, part of me wants to say, how good is it? How it makes it sound like they're overly confident in regards to a sequel that it's going to do that well to warrant a third one. But that's been the overall trend in regards to a lot of movies these past few years. Look at Jupiter Ascending and amongst others. That this is going to be a trilogy. I'm not knocking Jurassic Park or anything like that. Just that they're predetermining sequels that they might not need or people might not want yet.
Well, here's what troubles me on that, and this is what I don't get, and this is what bothers me a little bit, is Alien 3. Let's be honest. They had a date before they had a script set in stone. Period. And that's what the problem was. They knew, hey, on XYZ date, we need a movie. Because it's coming out then, no matter what. We don't even have a script, but it's happening. And I think it's funny because, granted, yes, Alien 3, the movie, I have mixed feelings about it. Because I've seen a work print. I've seen the quote-unquote director's cut work print. And then, of course, I've seen a theatrical. So I have a completely different understanding of it than most people. But before Sigourney Weaver was involved with it, and a lot of people don't realize this, is that the original script was written by David Twohy, and it was rejected by the studio because they wanted, Ripley to be in the next movie, because they were, for the third movie, it was going to completely skip over Ripley, have a new hero, and the whole 9 yards. And it's funny because they were going to go with an anti-hero. And it's even more funny because that script got retooled, went to another studio, and became Pitch Black. Which blows your mind. Good movie. Never mind the sequel to Pitch Black. It couldn't escape its Alien 3 roots, apparently. But, good movie. Good video game, also. But, to me, that's the first thing I think of. It's like, here's a studio who's got a release date before they have any of the groundwork. And there's way too many studios who's like, okay, we need to build a franchise, we need to market this, we need to do this, we need to do that. And it cracks me up because, like, if you go back to the original novel Jurassic Park, you go back to the original book, or go back to the original movie Jurassic Park, Ian Malcolm is talking about, hey, you've got this thing and now you're marketing it and you're selling it and before you even know what you got, you know what I mean? And it's kind of the same diatribe with the movies. You had Jurassic Park 1, which was a good film. A fair adaptation of the novel. I think it would have better been served as a horror movie than the kind of movie that we did get. Granted, it would have gotten nowhere near the budget it did if it was in straightforward horror, but it would have been freaking awesome. Probably still would have got a sequel. The Lost World sequel, let's be frank, wasn't that great. All I gotta say is spontaneous gymnastics to kill a raptor by a teenager. Yeah, not buying it. Especially considering the Utah raptor, or a Dinosuchus if you want to be technical.
The book was better than the movie, but both were not really needed. I think Crichton's publisher kind of forced it out of a sequel out of them because of this original doing so well, and the one meaning that the first one, the book did so well. They did a movie, both were done extremely well, so therefore, Michael, we need a sequel. And we need to write a sequel to Jurassic Park. That's what he did. He did a fairly decent job book-wise. And so they made the sequel to that, or based on that book. And the third movie that we got was just whatever they didn't fit in the first two movies. Or just whatever they left out on the cutting floor. Oh, we forgot about the pterodactyls in the dome. Let's put that in the third one.
And there was a lot of things, but I don't know how to describe it. I mean, to me, I love the Jurassic Park series. I've been talking a lot with Clayton Fiordi. I don't know if you know this about my personal history or not, but before Topps Comics dissolved, I was involved with helping them develop storylines for future Topps Comics. And this was, of course, after Jurassic Park the movie. And then after The Lost World came out. And I had several different concepts and several different ideas. And it was funny because, like, here's something I made money on that never got published, which still kind of chaps my ass to this day. But what really blows my mind is like, later on, IDW hit me up and they're like, hey, we want to do, like, a prequel to Jurassic World that bridges the events from the third movie into this. And I'm like, well, what do I gonna know about Jurassic World? Well, we can't really give you details. Write something and we'll tell you if it fits or not. And that was like a really sucky way of doing a job, because you know what came before, but you don't know what's coming after, and you're writing a story in between, and they're telling you what fits and what doesn't fit, and it's like, I'm sending it to them piecemeal, and me, with my writing style, I'd rather write something outright, do it the whole way through, and then adjust. But they weren't about that. They wanted me to send 70 pages a day, a week, and things of that nature. And it got to the point where I was ripping my hair out. I'm like, I'm done. Take what you want with this, pay me, call it a day. I don't know why you have an NDA on me, because I know shit about this other movie that's coming out. And what pissed me off about Jurassic World was a lot of the elements that I suggested to Topps Comics and other places seemed to oddly filter through, because I always talked about, like, you know, granted, it was a completely different company that they used in the movie, but I focused on Biosyn because I always loved that concept from the novel that showed up in the first movie, but then suddenly kind of dropped off into nowhere in the movie series. And I was using Biosyn as a way to kind of reinvigorate the Jurassic Park concept, you know? And in a way, that's kind of what happened. You know, and in a way, I also kind of suggested in the storylines that I had, hey, you know, yes, the theme park's a great idea, they can make money on it, but what about bioweapons? And that's where I was going with the whole storyline. And, you know, I had hinted around that Wu had other ideas how genetics and DNA works and how they can develop things of that nature, and it became a whole interesting fiasco. And I just find it interesting. It pisses me off and befuddles me at the same time. It's like, fuck it. I got paid, washing my hands of it. They did with it what they will. And trust me, you want to look up underneath my dead name, you will find a ton of news articles that back that up 100%.
Right now it's 2:15 in the morning. If I did look up your dead name, my brain will probably just latch on that, and I'll lose Sasha.
Yeah, but still.
Don't do that to me.
But still, it's a very complex weave, and like the Herald Mail had written several articles on me back in the 90s and early 2Ks about this concept, and it just blows my mind. Hell, before Topps went bankrupt with the whole Jurassic Park franchise and the whole comic franchise, because they completely stopped doing trading cards, they stopped doing everything else, I pitched to them, I'm like, hey, right now there's this card game going around called what is it called? Magic the Gathering? And I'm like, there's also this card game called about Star Wars done by the same people. I'm like, y'all own the rights to the Jurassic Park franchise. You guys already do trading cards. Why not a Jurassic Park trading card game? And man, I was getting phone calls left and right ever since I pitched that. And it was like, wow. And then suddenly they go bankrupt and I just get paid. And I'm like, you fucking kidding me? Sucks. But that's life. Trioxin Tiki has got a freaking awesome handle. You do get the handle, right?
What? Wait. Trioxin Tiki.
Yeah, just post it in the comments.
Oh, wait a minute.
You know what trioxin is, right?
It rings a bell. It's like, I know what it is.
Surfing Dead.
What?
Surfing Dead.
Surfing Dead.
Okay.
Surfing Dead.
Another song from the film soundtrack is.
But the thing is, trioxin's been in so much.
Yeah. But
that's why it rings a bell.
Burn by Roki. I can't think of his last name, but there's a song that's called Burn. Let it burn. Burn the flame. Higher and higher. And this involves a dude who puts himself in a crematorium to burn himself to death. A very epic scene. Also a movie with some really great horror icons. Clu Gallagher's in it. He was in Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And the Feast movies, he played the bartender. Ow. Alright, I'm going to spoil it with this. The Tar Man. You don't remember the Tar Man?
No.
Operation Easter Egg?
No, my brain is... I'm stripping gears right now.
Alright. The movie ends with them having a nuclear strike on Louisville, Kentucky. It has no effect. And you need a medical supply.
The original Return of the Living Dead.
Exactly. That's what trioxin's from.
Like I said, my brain is totally stripping gears. It's not in... stupid... I'm not saying Return of the Living Dead is stupid trivia, but it's not in total trivia access mode right now.
Right on. But yeah, I'm surprised you even said Pizza Hut, because, like, I often see, like, when you're walking downtown, because you've done videos of you walking downtown Martinsburg, like, I'm familiar with the area, because, like, you got the Blue and White, what is it, Blue and White Cafe?
Blue White Grill. My favorite place to get breakfast every Saturday.
And, right across the street is that Irish bar, or it used to be. And I always thought it was fun, it was fenced in, and it's, like, right beside the police station.
Right, it's no longer, the guy that owns that bar sold it. Right now it's a coffee shop, and I'm surprised it's lasting this long, but the guy that owned that Irish bar works at one of the tattoo shops around town now. From what I heard, he didn't really want to run a bar.
I feel you there. I mean, a bar is like negative profits. I mean, let's be honest. You know, you got your expenses for running the bar, you've got your people, you've got your liquor, you've got your food. If you get entertainment, I mean, it can break you. Look, your phone's going off. You still chatting with your dude.
Now, what you hear is... Now, that's how good this mic is, folks. That particular phone is maybe about 10 feet away from me, and it's charging.
Oh, cool.
So, and yes, I'm kind of keeping an eye on that little message because it's just it's nothing against your audience. The person I'm speaking with is a former podcaster in and upon himself. The show that he was on maybe about 5 years ago went defunct, and at their height had over 3,000 people weekly download.
Yeah, that's good to have somebody like that, yeah.
And the person that pretty much was their front man, he's a officer down in the Tampa area, and that's why his schedule changed, and they ran the show for so long, everybody kind of got tired of it. But the person I'm speaking with is looking to make a comeback in the podcasting community, and therefore, hey, why not? Since he knows me and
hey, Hawkeyes. Oh, sorry, go ahead. I'm just saying hey to some people that just joined.
So it's, like I said, since he knows me and I know him, and I'm doing my thing with my show, it's like, he was like, can I be on it, please? Like, yeah, come on. You're more than happy to be on.
Yeah, be a part. And that's the thing with me. I mean, like, for me, it's not a numbers game. I mean, like, I have my 9 to 5. Granted, mine's more 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., and occasionally wherever they want to stick me. Dear God. I like, literally, I had this running joke the other weekend because, like, they had me not only working weekends, but they had me working, like, second shift on a weekend. And the funny part was I kept making this running joke of, I'm like, dear God, there's this giant ball of fire in the sky. Should I be concerned? I'm like, has the apocalypse come? Nobody told me. I always thought it was one of the 4 horsemen.
That was me, like, last year when Wednesdays are usually my half day. And I'd come in roughly the afternoon and leave during the evening. So, and during the summer, the sun's still out, and it's like, what is that ball of fire? It hurts my eyes. Let me go back inside. It hurts. I'm burning.
The best part is like, as terrible as it sounds, the person I was growling about earlier called out sick. Granted, yes, it's Saturday night, or Saturday morning now from Friday morning, but Thursday night into Friday morning, the girl I was supposed to work with left at 2 a.m. complaining she was sick and everything else. The reality was that she was stuck working in the kitchen, and she just fucking called out because she hates working in the kitchen because I had some, like, training to do on the new safes, and she didn't want to deal with kitchen while I learned how to run the new safes. But I hate to tell her I learned how to do kitchen and run the new safes at the same time because fuck her. But anyway, she called out early.
I'm single. I might want to fuck her. So.
Dude, trust me. You've
Sorry,
got
2:30 in the morning.
You've got standards, and I think you like tits that kind of don't just hang at the knees.
Hey, Sasha, you're right. I got standards. They're low. Dear God, they're low. But I have standards.
Yeah, well, this is like sub basement level, so they're way above your low standards. Alright, trust me. You're a good person, you can do a hell of a lot better than that. Because she's a train wreck.
Considering the last bitch I was with kissed a goat.
Alright, well, Chris, she likes horses. Can you compete with that?
It would be a step up. Horses are taller than goats.
Yeah, but you gotta think about one other thing with horses. Horses got some girth, motherfucker. And length. Ain't nobody can compete with that. Just saying. Because I'm an asshole. But anyways, no, she calls out at 2 in the morning. So, like, the manager, like, the entire manager, the entire store, who normally only works day shift from, let's say, 5 or 6 in the morning to whenever, had to work at 2 a.m. instead. She's like, wow, this is kind of awesome. I'm like, by all means, you can work this shift every night. Please, come in. She said, I can get my books done, I can clean stuff. I'm like, I got a team member that's actually doing stuff. Oh my God! It was so refreshing. Because, like, I was working the back, and she's working the front, and like a drink would go off, and she would get it, and I'm like, whoa, I'm not used to that. I'm used to doing everything. And your job, too. It completely blows my mind, you know? Because everybody says, well, Sasha, you can't run this store by yourself. I'm like, yeah, I need that extra body, so I can't close the doors. But I assure you, I'm running the entire store by myself.
I know what we forgot to cover.
What's that?
Toys R Us.
Oh, yes. Toys R Us.
I am saddened that there is no Toys R Us within walking distance for me.
Right, but here's the thing. And this is the thing that I've tried to impress upon everybody. Like, when it comes to Toys R Us's, can you or can you not find the deal cheaper somewhere else?
No, this is true.
Aside from Toys R Us exclusives, which was their big drawing factor for the longest time, aside from that, could you not find it cheaper somewhere else?
That's true.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff I could find in other places for about the same price, too.
And granted, it was specialized. And when you're a specialized shop, granted, you might carry a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but you have one specialty. Let's be honest, their shit is toys and kids' clothing. If it's something you can play with, aside from adult novelties, and kids' clothing, they got it. But outside of that, yeah, there might be some candy, yeah, there might be some soda, yeah, there might be some impulse buys. But that is their main niche and butter. I can walk into Walmart, I can find the same shit, half the price, plus I can get groceries, plus I can get everything else for way cheap. I can go to Amazon.com and get everything I need, and I can find a better price no matter what. And let's not even get me started on eBay. If you know how to do eBay right, you can get anything, anywhere, anyhow, for dirt cheap. If this Jabba cell barge ever becomes reality, you bet your sweet ass I'm going to try to find me one for like $200 or less. I don't care if that shit's out of the package or not. We both know I'm playing with it.
Let me put it like this. To quote an old colleague of mine many years ago, how'd she put it? I have 3 places that I can order food from and have it delivered to me within 15 minutes. And I have high-speed access and pornography. Please inform me of why I need to leave the house right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was maybe 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more. She had like a T3 line in our house. Right now, I have I could say the same things. Like, listen, I have a high-speed access, at least one pizza delivery place on speed dial, Voodoo, YouPorn, Netflix, and Hulu. Please let me know why I need to leave the house right now.
Exactly. It's kind of like, you know, you can go shopping anywhere you want via the World Wide Web. The internet has opened up so many possibilities for everybody. So many. And I just don't get it.
It's not just the possibilities. I know one year I wanted to order, now again, this was going back 15 years ago, I wanted to order at least, I knew I could do it online. And there was one place I had to order the magazines from. And they severely, every time I put in like, I want this magazine, this magazine, and this magazine, instead of giving me those 3 magazines, it gave me a list of 50 magazines. I mean, the website was severely broken.
Right.
And I double-checked those particular companies by themselves, and sure enough, you could just put in the orders to those magazines right from their website. And without anybody screwing anything up. I'm like, well, that's easy peasy.
Exactly. Why would you go elsewhere? And that's the thing that trips me out. But everybody's like, oh no, Toys R Us is closing. And I keep asking them, like, when's the last time you've been to one? Oh, it's been 2 or 3 weeks. So how much did you spend? Well, I didn't spend anything. I just looked. Oh, great.
It's not like... I want to put it like this. A Toys R Us closing down is great. Might be great for a toy collector. Might be great for a gamer. But it's not like when Radio Shack was closing down. And let me explain why for that.
Because it was niche.
It wasn't that it was niche.
Well, Radio Shack, like back in the day, was severe niche.
Right. But
awesomely niche.
When the Radio Shack by me was closing down, I got a digital voice recorder, extra batteries, and a lot of stuff for my podcast that I needed.
Right.
And the sad thing was that they closed down before I got a newer mic and other cables of the sort. But some of the baseline stuff I needed for my show, I was getting dirt cheap because Radio Shack was closing down.
Right.
I got it was a $60, $65 digital voice recorder for less than $20. Plus batteries, plus extra cables and other things that I needed, dirt cheap.
Right.
And with someone on a budget severe budget like myself, that came in handy.
Oh yeah, it can. Oh, trust me, I'm in the market for a new webcam because, like, I hate the one that's on my computer right now. I mean, granted, this is the PS4. It's fuzzy, but it's better than nothing. You know what I mean? And
right.
It's cheap, and hey, it's live streaming to 2 places right now. It's all on the PlayStation Network. It's all on YouTube. I get views from both. If I want to get real fancy, I can go on my PC and then stream that into Twitch off of YouTube. Granted, I wish I could figure out how Twitch saved videos, because I have friends that use Twitch and their stuff is saved automatically. I don't know how the fuck that happens.
Right. Right now, Twitch confuses me. I won't say confuses me, but when I try to live stream on, like, YouTube, I still get a freaking lag.
I'm still listening.
Reason.
I'm still here. But yeah, it's insane. It drives me nuts. I won't lie. But yeah, like they can literally like save video. And like for me, I can live stream on Twitch all day long, but it's like, well, how the hell do you get it to save? And like the only time I've ever seen it save is if it was dual streaming to both YouTube and, Twitch. And yet, like, when I do that, it doesn't auto-save, and it just blows my mind. I mean, like, completely and utterly. I mean, I don't know how to describe that. It's like, how the hell?
I know one of the things I can do now, but I have been neglecting it. Those of you who wish to check out the show, I still have a lot of videos I need to upload to YouTube. At least one, and that's my Mountain Dew Ice video. I've been very lazy to upload. I need to upload it.
Copycat!
Just been concentrating on the fucking podcast.
It's like, I don't know, I'm your hero. You ain't gotta admit it. Hero worship later.
But, just, for me, YouTube, what my Xbox One does, where, as you know, the PS4, you can stream straight to YouTube. No fuss, no muss. The Xbox One doesn't do that. It streams to Mixer.com, I think it is. I have to start streaming more under my show's name and at least having some fun that way, but I've been neglecting. I'm being a bad podcaster.
To me, it's all about offering, like, different variety of content. Me doing this, like, after I've just shot a bunch of scripted episodes back to back, it's nice, because I call this, as terrible as it sounds, podcast masturbation. It has no rhyme, it has no reason. We have a loose concept of what we want to talk about, but we veer off in different directions, and we have fun with it. And, we have audience participation, and that kind of thing. And I just like doing it. It's not really a podcast, it's not really a live stream, but it's not that either. It's different. It's no worse than some Canadian who will remain nameless who thinks he's big shit, only getting like 25 views on a video. But good luck with that. Because I ain't just talking wrestling, I talk all kinds of shit. Of course, I don't know dick about wrestling unless we're talking about like high school wrestling, and I did that back in the day.
No, it's just with me, when I had this past week's episode, one of the guys I know down in Florida, I had him on the show before because he's coming out with an independent film either later this year or next year, once it's all said and done. He said, listen, he told me, it's like, listen, I'm a big wrestling fan. I want to talk wrestling. I don't want to talk movies. I don't want to, talk personal stuff. I want to talk wrestling. I've been dying to talk wrestling. I need to get, my frustrations out with what's going on. I went, okay, you're more than welcome to come on the show and talk wrestling. I'm a geek podcast. Wrestling's a geek related thing. Come on, talk. And to me, it was a great my co-host is a wrestling fan. It was a great round table discussion.
Wait. Which co-host?
Big Candy.
Oh, shit. I need to sit down and talk to Big Candy before I do all these horror movie, not horror movie, but movie reviews that involve wrestlers. You need to hook me up with that. Say, hey, Candy, get in touch with Sasha because you all need to collab on some shit.
Right. It's just that, it's just one of those things that he wanted to talk wrestling, and a lot of it is when he told me, it's like, listen, when I spoke to my other podcasting friends that I wanted to be on to talk about wrestling, everybody was like, we could do it next week, next month, that sort of thing. Maybe sometime down the road. But he was like, I want to talk about this now. This is on my mind now. And you're the first one to come up and go, really? What are you doing tonight? I have nothing to drop on Monday. So that's the beauty of how I tend to do things. It's like, oh, you want to talk about this now? Okay, let me get home and, turn on the mic.
And that's just how I roll, because, there's some nights where I'm like, oh, well, whatever. Like I said, it's podcast masturbation. We're just having fun with it and chatting.
And like I said, that's what happened. We spent the better part of over 2 hours talking about wrestling, talking about what's going to happen down the road. But I know you're not that type of wrestling fan, but it was, for me, editing-wise, all I had to do pretty much was cut out the pre-show and the post-show.
Well, as terrible as it sounds, there is some wrestling I get into, but that dips into the whole Mexican luchador shit, but that's only because they did horror movies. Whole other aspect.
Right.
Just saying. I mean, what was his name? Blue Demon? Blue Angel? I can't remember.
I don't know. The only luchador I know is Rey Mysterio.
Hi, was this about LOL? I'm not understanding the question, Mr. Kusi87 Pete Marcusi. I'm assuming you're from somewhere, granted, I'm probably going to be racist here, Italian, maybe, possibly. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right.
Maybe Google, maybe if he is from outside the U.S., Google Translate had a problem. He was probably asking, what is this about?
Ah, well, we talk anything horror, sci-fi, comics, anything geekdom.
Or just shooting the shit.
Yeah, or shooting the shit. No, I am what you call transgender travesti. I hate that phrase, but it's from French. I don't know if that helps with Italian or not, but maybe we can cross those borders right there. And I hate to use the term. Laverna Cox. And of course, I was like, what? Who's that? I'm Jazz. And as soon as I say Caitlyn Jenner, everybody's like, oh, yeah. It's like, oh, fuck.
That's something that would get me in a lot of trouble. Caitlyn Jenner is not a hero.
No, not at all.
Not a hero.
Not at all. I mean, hell, even the Kardashians in Star Trek suck. Just saying.
That sounds like something my stepdad would do. You know, the Kardashians suck. They're from Star Trek, right? Dad, no, just...
Hey, it was a good joke, right?
Right.
Hey, I'm working on my stand-up, coming soon to the Shipmansburg Comedy Club, but we'll leave it at that. Caitlyn Jenner is thick. Yeah, well, if that amuses you, I hate Caitlyn Jenner. It's just, you were doing right things up to a certain point, then you backed certain people, and then you had a crappy TV show on top of another crappy TV show. Yeah, no. Laverna Cox, Kristen Beck, Christina Jorgensen. We'll talk about that all day.
I have so many, damn it. Tomorrow, when I'm having later today, when I'm having breakfast, I'll answer a few emails.
Emails.
That's the other thing.
Okay, so the frowny face is part of his tag. Okay, now I get it. No kidding, they're all sluts. Jesus Christ. I think even Chris has been up in there.
What? Where?
he was talking about Caitlyn's daughters. I'm like, hell yeah, they're all sluts. I think Chris has even been up there. Hell, I think I've been up there. I don't know. I drink a lot. It's a good possibility. A major possibility. Dear God, I should get tested.
I think
after last Comic-Con I should.
Yeah. Pete just got the fact that you're trans. At least what's coming up on my screen is that Pete posted up the message saying you're trans. That's cool.
Yeah, I was talking to Almighty Troll GZ. I hope it has got nothing to do with Dragon Ball Z GT, and it's like a bastardization therein, because we can't talk if it's got anything to do with Dragon Ball GT. Get out of my chat room.
Yeah, like I said, that's one of the things I never really... When I started doing podcasting myself now, and instead of like 10 years ago when I didn't really care, it's just like, I don't believe I'm doing this now. This is a concept completely new to me, and frankly, I like it.
Yeah, it's
yes,
fun.
I did a MST3K reference, too.
Yeah, you just go out there, you put it out there, and kitty.
You just say kitty?
Yeah, and kitty.
Kitty, okay.
Always remember,
Like I said,
if it's not a cat, it's a kitty.
It's like, it's almost 3 a.m. It's like, wait a minute, did he just say you put it out there and kitty?
Kitty.
Wait,
Oh, you get that reference. You watch MST3K. Did you ever see that whole week I did of like random pictures of anything that wasn't a cat, and I was like, ooh, kitty. They're like the creatures from Critters, ooh, kitty. The worms from Dune, ooh, kitty. Bruce from Jaws, ooh, kitty. Apparently you missed that whole Twitter week. And nobody...
I might have.
And nobody got it aside from the guys from MST3K. Which cracked me up, because they're all like, we get it.
Did you hashtag it, MST3K?
No, but I follow, like, Trace Bellew, and he immediately was like, I get it.
So you tagged him?
No, he follows me, which is weird.
Oh.
He's like, wait, I've seen, like, entire days of you posting weird pics from bad horror movies. I get it. And that made my day.
I know, when you see me post something like a kitten or a squirrel, I tag a certain person. because we kid with her. It's like, oh, look, a squirrel. Kitty.
Nope. Kitty.
Kitty. Look, a kitty. Look, a squirrel. A bunny.
Oh, God, we don't talk about bunnies in here, because then we're getting into, like, Monty Python and the Holy Grail references.
No, the thing is, I have a con shirt that I got from a Wizard World one year. It says, walk softly and smash things with a large hammer, or something along along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a bunny on it. It was their con mascot.
Yeah.
And my buddy was telling his fiancée that I was wearing that shirt and it's got a bunny on it. And she was like, bunny, where?
Well, I just think it's funny.
It just got, because he wasn't really paying attention.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that you lash and just go, hey, Sarah, bunny, look, a bunny, where?
Me and a couple friends were watching Star Wars A New Hope. Granted, I hate calling it that. To me, it's always Star Wars. And I just gotten done watching a bunch of Monty Python at the time. And, of course, the scene comes up where the TIE fighter's heading to a small moon. That's no moon, it's a space station. You know immediately what my response was. It's only a model. It's only a model. They're all just look at me like, what? I'm like, seriously, y'all are watching the wrong movies.
You would have loved what me and one of my buddies were doing one year. You would have been in on it so well, it was disgusting. It was right after Avatar came to DVD.
Oh, God.
Me and him, I was visiting him in Pennsylvania. We were watching it on TV, and the whole time it was, while we were watching it, we were MST3K'ing it the whole 9 yards. Sigourney Weaver comes on screen the first time. Hey, look, it's Sigourney Weaver. Believe it or not. He got it, making the aspect of her playing Ripley.
Yep.
The whole, we were cracking jokes. They cut away to some of the ships, guarding ships landing. Hi, welcome to Halo. When the main character is making his battle speech, he's reciting the Braveheart speech. I'm reciting the speech from Independence Day. That's what we're doing for the whole movie. The whole aspect. It's like, and it was wrong, funny, but wrong at the same damn time.
Right. Mm.
And that's what one of these days I want to do. I want to, if I'm able to get or do something with a bunch of folks and a DVD player and do commentary on a movie that somebody could rent or get for free, some way, shape, or form, I want to do that. I'll set up the mics. We're doing a commentary.
Yeah, you can just do it through your computer and just have enough screens so everybody can watch and just live stream it simultaneously.
The thing is, I want it to be able to download so somebody can listen to it while it's playing on their TV.
Yeah, but see, you can do that through YouTube.
Have to hit play at the same exact time.
Yeah, you got to do that. Or if you're all at the same place, you can just do it through the same PC.
Right.
It's possible. The only downside to that is if it's not scripted, you're going to have dead periods. And so you're going to lose, audience participation and things of that nature. I tried to do that during a Super Bowl one year. I will never do another Super Bowl because it's really hard to do.
I tried to do that with a movie off of Hulu, and it's completely... You need several people to do it. That's number one, because it helps eliminate that downtime.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, because for me there was a lot of downtime. You have to find that one movie that everybody's going to be constantly jumping in with a joke.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That everybody's familiar with and is able to jump in on. again, like, let's take Avatar. Oh, look, glow-in-the-dark plants. Plants made by glowworm.
Glowworm, glitter, glitter. Remember that freaking commercial? There's your earworm for the day.
Pandora, brought to you in part by Mattel.
Yep. Dear God, I think they're making an Avatar world in, like, Disney World eventually.
K-Tel, records and tapes.
Yep. It's just, ugh. Like, the Star Wars world has me very interested because of the whole hotel aspect, but anything else, it's just, bad.
Like, the guy that I was speaking to earlier, I'm not sure if he's a big Star Trek fan or a Star Wars fan.
Mm-hmm.
If he's a big Star Wars fan, I'll have him rant so hard about the current Star Wars verse. And if he's a big Star Trek fan, I'll get him rant hard about that. Get his with him is I could go either way. So it's something like, or I'll have to just mention one name and have him just go off and just go. So, have your thoughts about Michael Bay have changed over the years? And just let him rant, and it'll be funny.
Right.
It will be funny.
Oh, Michael Bay. Ugh, don't even get me started.
No, he has a deep hatred. I think Michael Bay is his arch nemesis.
Right on.
Unknowingly, his arch nemesis. I'll probably bring that. It's like, so, is Michael Bay still your arch nemesis? If so, how do you feel about him now?
I hear that the upcoming Bumblebee movie is going to be a complete reboot. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Have you seen the screenshots for that?
I don't wanna.
They actually got Volkswagen to cough up the rates.
I don't wanna.
And it actually takes place in the 80s.
I don't wanna. I'm scared.
Yeah, look up pictures. I mean, it looks pretty decent, and the fact that Michael Bay is only slightly involved is very promising. But it's a live-action Bumblebee solo movie that takes place during the 80s. I don't know if it deals with their current timeline or not. I hope not. I hope it's the end of the Bayformers. I mean, to me, everybody's like, oh, Unicron is Earth at the end of Bayformers. I'm like, yeah, I already saw this in Transformers Prime. Give me something original. You know?
I had so many problems with the last night we was discussing.
Oh, yeah. They were trying to put headmasters in it, but completely screwed it up. That robot butler guy was supposed to be a headmaster. He could decapitate other robots and put himself on top of the heads. That's why the toys still had that feature, but the movie didn't feature it at all.
It wasn't just that. It was the aspect of when you have any. Yeah, I'm going Neil deGrasse Tyson. If you have a planetary body that close to any other planetary body, yeah, you're going to have earthquakes, a planet's tearing apart, the whole 9 yards. Nothing that freaking calm.
But it's fantasy. It's fantasy sci-fi. It's like Star Wars. I mean, let's be honest.
Fuck that.
Bombers in
planetary
space.
realism.
Bombers in space without gravity.
I'm excluding that. I'm trying to wipe the whole existence of The Last Jedi from my brain. For the exception of how did this get made, I'm trying to wipe it from my mind.
Luke Skywalker with tit monsters. And the worst part of it is that...
Why are you torturing me like this, Sasha?
Is that George Lucas didn't think of that. I mean, he gave us the friggin' nightmare of Howard the Duck before Last Jedi. It was like he almost predicted this is what will happen if I'm not in charge of Star Wars later on. There will be tits somewhere in Star Wars. Star Wars tits. Not just 6 tits in Jabba's palace. Oh no. Luke will drink from titties. The end.
I'm not going there. It's too late, too early. I am holding back.
Could you imagine if Kenner was in charge of this shit now? There would be a playset of Luke milking walrus alien titties. You and I both know this shit.
Why was I not paying attention to chat?
Oh, it's all good.
I just
Don't even pay attention to it.
I'm not.
That's how I am. I block them as they come. I'm not worried about it.
So, I might be heading off in a moment to go pass out somewhere.
That sounds like a plan. You have a good night. I will go and torture more people. You want to shout out your podcast and everything else? And thank you for joining me tonight and keeping this entertaining.
No problem. Again, folks, if you're listening to this or watching this in the future or the past, depending on your current situation, and if you have a DeLorean or a police box, whatever your time travel of choice might be, I run the podcast known as Long Coat Mafia Podcast. No, it is not what you think. But I do ask you to give it a listen. We are found on iTunes / Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Spotify, a few other places, including, if you want to be creepy, the Alexa through the Podbean app. We're also on Podbean. Our Podbean site is thelongcoatmafia.podbean.com. All our episodes are archived there. It's a geek-based podcast, and it's not just pop culture. It's everything that can be considered geek. I am willing to have you, if you don't see your particular brand of geek and you are a diehard geek and you know a lot, I probably will have you on the show if you so choose. So do check it out. Give us a listen. That's about it. I'm probably forgetting something, though.
No, you're good. I'll make sure there's links in the description and everything else. You have a good night. I'll catch up with you later, and I will continue to torture my audience of, wow, we got quite a few on the PlayStation Network and, of course, on YouTube. So it'll be fun. You take it easy, man. Thanks for joining me.
I shall. Later.
All right, later. All right, that was Christopher Lumser of the Long Coat Mafia Podcast. So if you want to check them out, they are on Facebook and, of course, YouTube and everywhere else that you want to be. So, who all else do we have with us today? Who is with us on the channel? Who is looking the chat? Let's see what we have on the PlayStation Network. See who's out there. Who's alive at this hour? And we're just going to keep streaming and having a good time and rocking and rolling. Alright. So how is your Saturday morning going? Because keep in mind it is daylight savings time, so obviously everything's an hour ahead of time here soon. We got 3 people in chat. Welcome to new chat. Hello, whoever's new here. Nice to meet y'all. Who we got with us? Don't be shy. Just be, say what's on your mind and what's going on and what you want to say. As long as it's polite and nice, otherwise immediate ban and block. And we normally talk horror, sci-fi, geekdom, what have you. I'm going to remove some of these screens now that Chris has left the building. Bear with me here. Gotta go back in the second screen. And never mind the a-holes if you're watching on YouTube. Or not YouTube, but of course, PlayStation Network. How's it going, guys? Welcome to the room. Just me, your average trans woman who happens to be a horror hostess. Alright, let me see what we got here. Hello, welcome to the chat. You guys have a favorite scary movie, favorite video game? Feel free to contribute. Now our guest has exited the building. Alright, visual effects. Objects.
My newspaper people will stop and talk to me. Yeah. Ask me how it was. What are you doing out this time? You haven't seen me, and I was like, yeah, I got fired. I was like, I told you guys. And they're like, yeah, sure as hell did. So, I'm gonna leave this open to crack just so.
Was one of the newspaper ladies Hazel? Was one of the newspaper ladies Hazel?
I can't remember her name.
Older woman, dark hair, kind of heavy set.
Yeah.
But whitish hair, graying.
I can't remember.
Usually has an overweight dude with her.
I got several newspaper people I talked to.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. They were just asking how it was.
It sounds like my newspaper people. Because they run this neighborhood.
It is.
Yeah, it probably
They
is.
stop a little bit everywhere and get coffee and stuff too.
Welcome to the room, guys. How's it going?
Like you said, Mom, I know everybody. It feels like in this town somewhere or another. Most of my customers, I knew Graham and Hap.
Two people watching.
Kids and their grandkids. Like I said, after working at a place like that for 10 years, you start.
So we're just drinking and chilling and chatting. Might get into some more movies here, guys. Just waiting for more people to join in. We just had Christopher Lumser with us of the Long Coat Mafia podcast. And, of course, I am always Sasha, the Princess of Darkness. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, the usual haunts. And this is, of course, Sasha After Dark. It's a little skivvies just for fun for you guys out there. And here's my stats. Ooh, I'm 83% cool. How awesome is that? Don't understand kanji, but that would be kind of cool if you guys sent me something. If you could translate, that would be great. Alright, so let me know what y'all think. What should we discuss next? Alright, let's see if I can't get a translation on YouTube for this chat. Let me just go ahead and type in here. Don't understand kanji. So, who all is out there tonight? Feel free to introduce yourself. Type something in the chat. Answer my question. Answer my poll here. Blue for horror, red for sci-fi, green for movies, purple for video games. So it should be pretty simple. If you're using a PlayStation remote, of course. And if not, type in the chat.
Just be careful not to trip over the chair in the bathroom, Sasha.
Why is there a chair in the bathroom?
When I throw up, so I ain't gotta hurt my back bending over.
Understood.
Having problems getting up if I sit on the floor.
Totally get it, dude.
I'm just letting you know.
Alright.
Out of the way in front of the towel cover.
That works. So we got 3 viewers. Any horror topics, or are we just going to call it a night? Anybody else want to be rude or nasty or anything of that nature? Feel free. I got the time. I'm not sleepy yet. We'll be soon, though. How do you get rid of this survey? I have no clue. That would be nice. Yep, still trying to figure out how to get rid of this poll. The go away poll. Ah, there we go. That works. Two people in the chat room. Alright, we'll go a little bit longer. See who all's out there. See who wants to interact with me. I wonder if there's any copyright-free music I can jam out to. It's got no copyright to it without freaking out PlayStation or anybody else. Let me see. Woo-hoo. Or maybe bear with me here. We'll see what we can do to give y'all a better view. Oh. Maybe not that far. That'll work. And I can keep chatting with you from afar. How does that work? So, who all's out there? Feel free to chat. Oh, put a runner in them. Oh well. Ooh, I know something that could be a fun feature. I'll be right back. Oh, damn. So much for that. Hello. Welcome to the room. How's it going, everybody? Well, I kicked a lot of people off real quick. I enjoy this. Makes me happy. So, anyways, I guess I should call it a night. Thank you for watching Sasha the Princess of Darkness. Take scare. Creep it real. Till next slime. And pleasant screams.